Good morning. July 12th, 2025. Here in my second Saturday hike. Turned into a work day. Kind of did some scouting. I'm about a mile and a half south of the trailhead. And second set of Beech Blight Aphids I've come across. Figured I'd get a little video. Let me blow on them so they're turn into the boogie woogies. As you can see, they dance for you. They're usually around about this. They start coming out about mid-July, last through most of August. Later in the year, you'll see like gray and purple stains below the trees from them, getting rid of their extra stuff. And I got a couple drains I put in through here, 4 or 5. Seem to be working all right, but really on the way down I went down that ridge top kind of on the far side, and then you sweep around and it would actually avoid all this. I've been looking at years for going not through there. It actually would come up the trail much further, but to avoid this whole turnpike overgrown valley. And you can see how just eroded this is, it's a lot of work to try to build drains, because even if you cut this side hill out, you gotta go so far down, and then as quick as everything runs through here, it just flattens out where it stops using the drains, so you gotta constantly clean them out. But as you can see on my trails, most of the time, I try to keep them extremely wide. Here's another drain we're coming to I put in. You can see not much erosion past. Been trying to flatten them out and then leave some leaves so it'll slow the water down once it makes the turn off. But as you can kind of see, that clears out. Would have to guess the old, because most of this is on an old roadbed. I believe it used to be up there. If you go far enough down, there's a pretty nice sized field oak. So it might have been a homestead or a clearing. But yeah, I walked about 30 feet over is about the ridge top. I walked it down, kind of went on the western side. I'm on the east right now. 30 feet to the east of it. And this is all, it's not real thick for mid-July. As you can see how it's all briars and stuff. I believe the old roadbed was up here. And it's still pretty clear that way. And then let me drop my pruners. I went around the ridge and then circled back around, met back up with the trail, and probably a little over 1/10 of a mile, and that avoids all that real bad erosion. Now there's still the steep descent that's really eroded. I got a drain there that's stopping it from getting worse, but it's so bad. Not sure if it's actually savable, but there's worse areas through here. You can see there's all sorts of mushrooms out this time of year. But then again, see where these trees are falling, and you can see it actually kind of clears out down through here. So that'd be where, if I went this way, we just slowly descend the side of this hill instead of being on the ridge side. And it would lead past the turnpike and come out about where the creek crossing is, probably within 100 yards. Once you walk the turnpike heading south, it'll end. You'll go about another 150 feet, and you'll see kind of a levee on the far side of that's where the trail would come out that I'm proposing or been scouting for years. Can't really see it. I only cleared this out last year. Oh, the sun's in the way. There's a little duck on there. Yeah, this is quite the mess. Now that I did not cut this big one, that was the Hoosier National Forest. Because they can use chainsaws which I can too now, but not by myself. But you can see they sectioned a bunch of small logs, and I'm not doing all that by hand. If I cut that, it'd be from there to there, and I just roll the whole big piece out of the way. Haven't been down this way. I think it's been a month since I've been this way. Few little trees down, and then right near the trailhead, there was a large double that I cut out this morning. Part of. You know, if you like trails, I've probably hit 5 spider webs in a mile and a half, which this time of year, that's really good. And a couple of them I just barely nicked. So if you're 5'10" or under, you probably would only hit 3 of them. I keep everything pruned back pretty far. Mountain bikers, hikers, and equestrians, I try to keep it clear up to 10 or 11 feet tall like I'm supposed to. It is a hot, humid day. It's supposed to be in excess of 90 degrees today. I think some pretty severe rain showers storms are supposed to come in. Probably about 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. And it's probably about 11 o'clock right now. And I'm going to spin it. Make it vertical. Oh, it's not rotating. Okay, well, that's fine. Be that way, phone. I'll angle it up a little more so you can see. For the most part, even the equestrian's got a clear path. Nice and wide, no briars. I weed-eated this first mile and a half. I didn't go through here. It's not too bad. The valley definitely needs another weed whacking session. Or I haven't made it there. It needs an initial one, I guess. Not real good one-handed. This is a tree we all cut, I think 3 years ago. Me, Steve, Canoop, Susan Sievers, Jennifer Schuler, and RV Richard Vonnegut. Came out for her work day a few years ago. We all had drawn on our own symbols on that tree, but they've long since disappeared. But every year there's plenty of trees to keep marking, keep cutting. Yeah, it's hot. Nobody I know likes spider webs, so like I said, if you look, I keep the corridor at least 6 foot wide most of the time. I have not hiked. That's why I'm heading back. I'm going to go hike the other end. I've cleared all of 20, and then from 20, turn off on 18, and then the whole valley should be clear, or was clear. There's some bad issues down there with trees in the creek forcing water whenever it rains. Come back on the trail, and that's been an issue anyway, but trees down from the storms early this spring made it significantly worse. I'm going to get back to the trailhead, finish cutting this side, get me a cold drink, sit in the AC for about 10 minutes, cool off a little, and then I'm going to head back the other way. This briar's going to be a problem. Well, hello, Mr. Ant. I'm going to have to chop you ever want to help out on the trail, just get a hold of me. Just carrying a pair of hand pruners, coming down this a couple times a year would be super beneficial. Take the easy work and I'll work on sawing stuff, digging drains, or if you want to get crazy and do the same, more than happy to let you help. But again, I know trail work's not for most people. I thoroughly enjoy it. There's a little thinking of some of the drains, but it's pretty basic, simple stuff. You can let your mind wander. You really get to know the trails. Like I said, I'm constantly poking around. You can see it is, oh, that's a nice breeze. Gets pretty thick briar-wise through here. Definitely seen worse areas. Some of the state forests are really bad. You can usually, if you avoid the ridge tops and the high points of the fingers going down the ravines, and stay near the ravines where it drops off steep, you'll usually avoid the worst of the stuff. The ravine to the west is really pretty, and so is the ravine to the east. You got a lot of climbing around down trees and stuff, but it is a lot more scenic than this. But it is 5 times the work and exercise, especially this time of year. Yeah, and this trail definitely has its ups and downs, but nothing too severe. Heading southbound towards 4, you're going downhill for 2 miles, roughly, 1.5 miles. And you got a pretty quick climb right after the creek, but you go up about 80-100 feet, and you get a nice long side hill for 400 or 500 yards, and then you complete the climb up to trail 4. So it gives you a nice break. And none of this is super steep climbing up this way. I think the hills here, most of them stay about a couple 100 feet on the trails. There are some 300 and 400 and even 500 foot hills, but those are very rare. Browning Mountain being one that's nearly 500 foot elevation from the, say, the Iron Bridge. I don't think it's quite 500, but it's close. I know it's over 450. And when this tree fell, it was one of the first ones I did with my big saw. I'd cut a few, but this is probably one of the bigger ones when I first inherited the trail. Both these trees were up, and this old root over on the left was leaning against that one, and that one finally fell. And as you can see, it's not just here, but once they get about 2 foot in diameter, most of these trees just fall over. This soil's not real good. It's fairly rocky through here, and just nothing can sustain very big. I mean, you'll see some that get up to 26, 28, 30 inches. Like that's probably a little bigger. That's nice to see, but that's about the max size you will see. That's probably, I'd say that's 27, 28 inches maybe. I don't think that one's 2 foot. That's probably like 21, 22. But anywhere you go, and I've been just about everywhere through here, at least around trails 19, 18, 20, 4, everywhere in between, and you just don't see any big trees. And I'm pretty sure they took this over 60, 70 years ago. I can't be positive about that. Yeah, I think the roadbed used to be up there. You kind of see there's a couple larger. Another field oak. Got a pretty good spread on it. Double. This isn't too eroded. It'd be a bad idea to put a drain in somewhere right in here. But it's already slowed down and almost stopped, and you can see the erosions through here. A good trail, the leaves won't move off of it. Now granted, Bloomington area got nearly 10 inches of rain. I don't know, it's early this week, maybe last week. So really 10 inch rain in a day in one storm. So I'd say these trails held up pretty good. I got some pictures of when I first, within the first couple years I started. Plus one like from 6 years ago where half this trail was constant mud. You got some roots, but yeah, I try to keep all the little sticks off the trail. I try to keep it where you don't have to pay much attention. We do have a nice, little horse pile. But again, I'll contend I'd rather deal with seeing them because you're looking down anyway. But if they knock down all the spider webs, I'll make that trade easily. Here's a spot low spot I need to re-dig out. This used to always constantly be mud. It's pretty firm. And at one time you can kind of see the remnants of a drain, and I dug all that area out so it would divert over, but it just slowly filled in from stuff from uphill. Trying to keep what I just poked right in there from staying wet all the time. And you can see there's not a whole lot of leaves left in this section, but again, decent clay. This doesn't get that much horse traffic. It's all packed in pretty good. Here's another somewhat soft spot. Again, I don't mind. Like, I'm not even leaving a footprint. It just feels soft to walk on, which is not a bad thing. Here's a more substantial drain I put in, trying to divert water off. And then it hits that, comes down here and hits that tree, and it slows it down. That tree is lower than the trail, so it won't back it up, so you don't cause really bad erosion past. Now I'll show you this area's got some of these big monster, I call them golf balls. They look like they're on a tee. They'll open up flat. Oh man, but they're always through this area. There's a neat little one before it's opened up, and then you get this monster of a guy. Oh, my saw's hooked on the branch. Sorry about the dirty hand. And then there's another one right there. Oh, come on. They're having a 650 saw sticking up. You can see here's where I was pruning about a month ago. Making sure the equestrians didn't eat spider webs the whole time. You get this old sign. There's a large pond over on the right we can go check out real quick. I'm pretty sure the trail, you can see once you get dense, I mean there's a bunch of small beech and pine, but you can walk through that whole area fairly easy. There's not a whole lot of briars or underbrush or anything. You just got to duck the beech trees. Let's see. Try to zoom in nice and slow, but you can see the pond. The old Trail 18 sign. And another tree I cut a long time ago. That was probably 4 years ago. And rolled it over there because I This was a big enough one. Dense. I remember I couldn't, usually I'll lift up one end so I can roll it straighter, but I couldn't really get this one to spin, so I just kept rolling it until it was off the trail. But I believe this used to be the old trail. I've went down this way before, and this ridge behind this pond is really thick with briars. So I think it used to be an old road. And those are the places, before the trees come back, the briars take over. But if you look at a map, there's within, you can usually find 5 ponds within a mile or two. Actually looks like somebody, I see 2 bobbers over there. There's one, I don't know if I can catch the other one. Yeah, there's the other one. Somebody's been fishing. Good for them. Hope they had success. But yeah, look at all the froggies. Froggies. Technical term. I'm not real happy they left their stuff. They might have just tied something off. They might be coming back later. There wasn't anybody camping at the trailhead. I'll walk a little bit further along this dam. Oh. And I just lost my saw. It sticks up about several inches above my head, so it tends to hook on everything. Yeah, nice little pond. Here right off the trail. I think this is about a third mile, maybe a quarter mile from the trailhead. There's actually a bigger pond, not too far off the trailhead itself. Pretty much due west. The trail follows the old road. Man, that guy hopped all the way from where I was at. Yeah, there's a old road it follows, and it continues due west for a while. That's an interesting color and shape. Yeah, it's mushroom season. Not the good kind of mushrooms for most people. The morels. We got this evil spider webs. See if I can catch him. Yeah, there he goes. There he goes. They got that weird thing on their bottom. Looks like they got a spider web on their backside protecting them. Again, look how clear it is underneath there. That's the best areas to go off trailing. Make sure you know what you're doing. But a lot of these ridges have a lot of old road beds. So if you tend to get too lost, just find a road bed and go uphill. And most of them will take you to a road. Almost all of them. Again, here's one of my favorite sections. It is pines, which they fall over. You can see they planted a lot of this to stop the erosion. Now, the trail's dead center of the ridge, which is not a great thing. Should be offset a little bit to at least where you can, right to the precipice of where it starts sloping, so you can put some drains in. But again, this used to be real muddy. It's not so bad anymore. And you can see it's a nice wide, cool corridor. You get a little more wind up here on the ridges usually. It almost looks like, you probably can't see it, there's kind of a cut. Okay, well, let's go check it out. I've been over here before, but I'll show you guys. I'm always looking off trail. And now I got a stick and a spider web in my eye. On my forehead, I see the spider. All right, cut him off. Another one stuck in my back, and branch on my neck. What do I do with my head net? I hope I still have it. Yeah, I recommend a wide brimmed, continuous brimmed hat. Oh, no more spider webs. Got another spider web. Oh, I'm sorry. On my hand. I'd like to stop and put this saw away, but we'll continue on. Yeah, this looks like the old road used to come through here, almost too, because this is pretty flat and a drop off, and you wouldn't really want the trail here. You'd want it right on this edge, so whenever it gets dished out, you can dig out a couple feet and you're already draining again. So if we ever go to move that section, looks like about 40 feet down, and right on this edge, right where I'm walking. And you can always use this and then dip it down and force water off. Oh yeah. There's a thing in the middle of the fern. What is that thing? Nope. But also, then you get these views. Look at that, is an absolutely okay, really steep ravine. And if you get your hand out of the way, you can't really see it, but boy, that looks like it's about a 65, 70 degree ravine. And then I'll take 5 more steps, you're going to see a natural drain. Not if I zoom out that much, and that tree's one way. You can see the exposed dirt, the natural drain that runs down it. I might have to explore that sometime. We still got this road. But I've been down that the valley itself a lot, but I don't think I've been down that ravine. I see a big root ball up ahead from a tree down. Like I said, that's typical. You still don't see the people will be like, oh, well, they logged it. No, well, possibly. But again, oh, that's a big spider web. Let's go. This is what happens. You'll see these trees are probably, I can't guarantee, but they're probably about 2 foot. There's a nice one. And the non-chicken disease. I don't know my mushrooms too well. Look, a whole row. See all the rock and the root ball, all the clay. They're just not getting real deep. And yeah, that's about 2 foot. Maybe not even. That was definitely not that far one. It's a big double. And I don't think it's 2 foot. That's, I'll climb one-handed, or actually no-handed, so I'm holding my saw in my handy-dandy hiking stick. What's this? Kind of yellowy gooey, looks like an egg. Yeah. Trails are nice for most people, but I get sidetracked looking around. We got a cyclops tree, or a, I guess, kind of looks like owl over the whole. And that bottom tree might be bigger than 2 foot, but it still ain't 30 inches. Again, here's some big rock. Here's some little bitty fire mushrooms. But look at all the rock in there. Clay. And yeah, that's probably 26, 27, that bottom inches. But this is, you're only 50 foot off the trail. You keep an eye on a map, on an app. and just poke around just off trail. Switch up and down, definitely more spider webs and trip hazards and maybe possible holes in the leaves. But again, it's pretty dense here. You get a look down at the valley. You can see a lot further. And that channel doesn't look real natural, but I don't think this was the road. This drops off too steep unless, boy, there's been a lot of water draining off. You can see, looks like about 3 drains minimum right here. There's a dip just left of that tree. There's another dip right through there. And here's the first drain. This one gets substantially more water. That's probably cut nearly 2 foot. That almost looks so wide. It looks like it used to be a roadbed, but I don't see how. It'd be a fun one with a 4-wheeler. We'll head back up to the trail. And you can see this drain, and then maybe you can make out that drain. We move the trail right to the precipice of these drainage areas, over 20 feet, where you can always just clear it out. It's another bad thing I don't do too often, but you're not going to get much drainage, but it's never a real good idea to line trees like that because it dusts up any water that would flow off. But here it really don't matter because it's not going to run off. It's just going to continue running down the trail. The only good thing about being this high on the ridge is you don't get water coming down the whole hillside to it. And I left my GoPro in the car, so sorry about the shaky video. And the heavy breathing. I haven't been hiking that much since I messed my knee up last October, and it hurts. Just bending over. I could not be a catcher anymore. This tree, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I cleared that out not too long ago. You can see the duck in disarray, maybe, upside down. Those are the fun trees to cut. The one up here, I sawed for a half hour straight. It's probably 35 minutes. I took a couple little quick breaks, but it was probably 16 inches. And it was a double, and I got the top one so people can get through. And we're going to come up to one of the worst areas on this stretch of trail for mud. Pretty sure used to be a homestead somewhere through here. Show you up, running this way is an old roadbed, it looks like. There's some field oaks around. Even that's kind of getting close to a field tree You can see this deep cut road bed. I'll try to chip on these mushrooms. Yeah, it's a good 5 or 6 foot deep old road trophy type thing. So you got the spider web. You got the trail draining to this low point. You got that road, and you got the other side of the trail. So I've come in and cut through a bunch of rock, try to divert this water, and then you can see the field oak in the distance right through there with the side tree going up. Side tree. It is big enough, it's really a side tree. For a better view of it. And this area used to be soupy mud. There's a better view of that. Well, your eyes tend to focus better than the camera does. Your eyes will skip past all that green. There's the trail. There's the trail. And I had at one time cut one ditch to try to drain it, and it's actually starting to drain better. See the path of the water, which ain't the best thing, but it's only going for so far and then heading right off. But see, you can see the old road bed continues this flat area, and I'll show you where it comes out. It's kind of actually nice because it's below the trail now, and so you see all this area drains to that spot until you crest this hill. With that road bed being below and this being on the hill pretty flat above, and then there's pretty steep below. Excellent location because you can knock out this berm and water will drain, which obviously I need to do more of. Put in a little mini one here by the tree, just really a scrape out, but you can see all the debris. Down there's the road bed through there. Comes up by here, probably 10 foot down there. I'm sure the trail at one time followed it and then moved it up here. This ain't great. I'd almost move it over 6 feet so it was on the precipice and got a little outslope. And then like these big roots I'll use as drains. You can see the drain right there, and this will stop everything from eroding past it, so I'm hoping the dirt will, not erode too fast here, and even if it does, it'll stop or slow down here, and then it'll backfill and go out. And then it's always important to come in and clean a little bit of that debris out so it doesn't, but 1 or 2 big sticks on a small drain like that will really hurt it. But we're about 100 yards from the trailhead. The old road bed right through there. Now there's another old road bed that way. And that large pond is probably 200 yards, and then on the right to the north. And it's probably off the trail about 80 to 100 feet. But again, this gets real thick and tall. But I try to make it as pleasurable as possible, because these trails, I didn't show you the old road bed right through there, and then we're back on it. But yeah, these trails, I said, most people don't come out here. They'll go to Morgan Row, they'll go to Deem or state parks. So you want some solitude. I'd say 50% of the trail users through this area this far north in Hickory Ridge are equestrians, 30% mountain bikers, and 20% hikers. And it's probably closer to like 60%, 70% equestrians from what I see on the weekdays or weekends when I'm working. This is the tree I cut out this morning. I just got half of it. That's probably about a foot. That's probably closer to, if I went that way, it's probably 16, 18 inches. My duck. See, I spun it and rolled it. I'm going to take a little bit more time. I'll probably go actually back up to the vehicle real quick. So I brought a cooler. I was smart today. And get a little bit of Gatorade. And come back and have some fun. And then I'll probably go hike the other way a mile or two. And check out what's happening that way. Again, this is constant water through here. I just seen probably 8 or 10 frogs jump in that little muddy puddle. And this has been an issue forever. But hey, it's a little bit of mud. Wildlife enjoy it. And if you're on multi-use trails and that's the worst part of mud you get, that's a win. I weeded this all a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. Even this parking area, it just gets so much sun, all this stuff grows pretty quick. But it's not too bad. Here's the parking area. The new sign they put in late last year, I believe, showing the trails.